Welcome to the Parenting on the Spectrum show with board-certified behavior analyst and infant-toddler development specialist, Theresa Alexander Inman. Parenting on the Spectrum dives into real stories, challenges, and triumphs, offering invaluable insights and support for families on your unique journey. Let's get into the episode.
Welcome. Today, my guest is Ms. Ann Pells. She empowers families to create financial freedom through simple and proven strategies. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you so much. Grateful to be here.
My pleasure. So happy to have you. So let's start with this. Let's go. Help us. Where do we start?
My children and grandchildren, we've had to adapt what we're doing. And when my children were small, my husband got laid off. And so we decided that we needed to figure out another way to have money working for us. And then we realized that we also needed to have different education possibilities and all the things that parents are trying to figure out to help their families when they're parenting on the spectrum. So I have 2 phone calls. I'll share briefly about those. If anyone's interested, you can go to lifegiverlegacy.com and find out more. And then we can talk about any of the other parenting questions we have and anything else. My first journey after that layoff was finding a phone call with a team that had a free calculator and it hacked 20 years off our house payment. The interest started working for us. Instead of having to pay the bank 3 times the amount of interest, right? You buy the house for $300,000 and you pay $600,000 of interest. They showed us a way on the calculator to make that change, and our payment dropped to $400 a month. And within 2 years, we were halfway paid off on the house. That made a huge difference for us financially. But I also wanted to find a way to have income coming in while I'm being mom and grandma. And we have a business team that you'll find at lifegiverlegacy.com also, that helps people have income coming in, $10K a month at least, with just an hour a week of time. So that's a brief summary of my 20 years that I want everyone to have access to with just 2 phone calls. And they are amazing. I'm grateful to have people on our team that help. I used to think, I'll just figure it out all on my own. I'll do it all by myself. And I'm realizing that, especially for parenting on the spectrum and our family life, just our relationships, everything, we all need people who are on our team helping us and cheering us on so we don't have to feel alone and afraid and worried. Been there, long, hard journey with my own children. And like you said, Theresa, we want people coming behind us in that journey to go faster and safer and better than we did. I think with our money, with our relationships, our health, mental health, physical health, all of it, and just feel like we're not alone. That there are people that really want to see good things happen for us, and I'm grateful for that crazy pink slip paper that started everything. Our go to school, get a good job plan. I was just going to do that, and other plans. Life had other plans for us, and so, and I think sometimes that's what happens when we're parenting. All of a sudden we have a new thing come up with the children or in my case now, my grandchildren too. And we're not quite sure what to do about it. Like, we need resources that I think one thing I've learned recently, and it's been reiterated over and over, what we don't know that we don't know is our most expensive thing. And someone around us knows, and so it's okay to ask questions and feel vulnerable and like, I don't have all the answers, but I know how to keep asking questions until we find what we need. And anyway, so that's what I hope is helpful with anything that we can share here today to help people. So
Awesome. I'm excited. You said a couple of things. So first of all, your payment went down and you paid off your house faster. That sounds like, oh my gosh.
I know. I wish I'd known it 15 houses ago, because we've moved so often and you have to start over every time, right? But yeah, it was a miracle. We were very grateful.
Awesome. So I wanted to repeat that because I want people to listen, because everybody wants to shave years and money off their house payment. And thank you again for mentioning that life and parenting, they are team sports. They are not individual activities. They should not be done alone. We need each other if we're going to do this right. Because I know for me, as I was telling you before, I just, parenting for me was, I didn't know what I was doing. I did
Yeah, I would have loved the owner manual about that. Like,
Exactly. I did it alone for so many years. I mean, thankfully, I had a village, but I divorced early, and when my children were young, I should say, and we co-parented. However, it was different than parenting together, and without my village, I don't know. I mean, my children would be a mess today. Not saying that they're perfect. They're perfectly mine and I love them perfectly. However, it would have been different. And I, tell them, if I knew then what I know now, I would just be the best mother ever. I
I
hope.
know. I know, darn it.
So yeah. So start us off, ma'am. What's the first step to this financial freedom?
We were 50 and we were starting to have grandchildren, and I started to see some of the same characteristics that my children had on the spectrum in my grandchildren. I'm like, okay, we have to find some financial solutions that will create better results for them faster so that they have more options. I think money is not good or bad. It just gives you options when you have it, and you can use it like $20 educates a child for a year in some places in the world. And we, as you said, we needed our village. We were looking on YouTube. We found a video that was about 5 minutes. The class that we show people on lifegiverlegacy.com is about 20 minutes long, but it saves 20 years of mortgage payments for people. My friend thought they had 25 years left on $100,000 that they owed, and that would have been a lot of interest, even just for $100,000. But then they realized that it would cut their payment. They'd be able to be done in 3 years, and it's repeating over and over. There's been 10,000 people helped now, families. So I definitely recommend just go to the Unlock Home Equity tab on the website and really literally make them walk you through it. My husband loves numbers and questions and diving into stuff. And if there's anybody in the audience that feels that way, that's what they're there for, to give you that calculator and just be like, okay, for your income and expenses, don't change anything. Just tell us where you're at as if you didn't have a house payment. And let's make that happen for you. So for us, our payment went from $2,000 to $400, and all of that went into paying down the principal. And that's why within a couple of years, we had $200,000 paid off. And we'd lived in, like I said, 15 different houses over the last 30 years of raising our family and adding brothers and sisters and different things that happened and job changes. And boy, speaking of what you don't know that you don't know, think how much interest that would have saved me. I'm like, oh my gosh, 15 times that we moved and started over. So that's why I say what we don't know is just costing us all the fun and freedom and magic that we can have. So I love that. I don't believe in coincidence. It was just a miracle. We found the little clip on YouTube, and we're like, okay, someone needs to teach us this. How did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we put it on the website. I was trying to find like one specific place that people could just look and use that in the toolbox. And no pressure. If it's not for you, totally fine. But it definitely opened up the possibility of some different educational options for our kids, just the house was working for us. Mm-hmm. And it hadn't ever before for the previous 25 years. And so these last 5 years have been amazing that way. So I'm grateful. It's really been a blessing.
Awesome. And I'm thinking of the parent who has 1 or 2 autistic children, and they're like, okay, the therapies, the just,
Yeah.
yes, a lot of these therapies are covered by insurance. However, the gas to get there,
Right.
the time off work,
Time.
if they
Yep.
are working, and a lot of parents opt not to work because of all the time they would have to take off
You're right.
to take their children to and from these therapies. Something, if they could shave off hundreds off their monthly payment and years off their mortgage, parents
Yeah.
listen up.
Yeah. That's a big deal. It was a big deal.
It,
And then we realized that our current retirement plan wasn't working. We were 50 and we hardly had anything to work with in the traditional sense of what we're going to live on when we stop working. And that's why we have that second phone call too. That if you want real estate or businesses that are all done for you and don't have to take time, because I think time is actually our most precious thing, especially when we're dealing with all the various flavors of being on the spectrum. My granddaughter is amazingly smart and actually gets along better with children much older than her. And so her education is different. We're, like you said, we're at appointments, we're talking with professionals to get help for her village and the things that she needs. And for my kids, I didn't even realize what they were dealing with it took me a long time. So I really applaud all the parents out there that are like, yep, I can't be working right now because I've got to focus on spending the time creating the best situations and environments for my children or my grandchildren to help them. There's so many resources out there that weren't available to us when our kids were growing up, but now there is, but it does take time. And so
it does. And like you said, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know a lot of the resources. And, sadly, I've worked in some schools, and not to knock any school because every teacher is doing the best they
yes,
can.
they can.
They've got a ton of students in a classroom, and a lot of them, working with autistic children, they've, been honest with me saying, you've given me more training in an hour than I have the whole school year. And all I did was sit with them and talk to them and observe the students and gave them, some feedback. And because the schools, they don't have time, they don't have the resources to do it. So
No.
when you send your child to school, it's not always serving them. Because again, like I said, teachers don't know what they don't know, and it is challenging. So being able to financially, just afford a lot of these other things that you don't have to worry about, or maybe you won't have to work if you access this information,
Right.
and then you can spend more time. You can be as opposed to do more.
Fair. Being is actually pretty powerful. If you can be present and enjoy all of those things that are happening as they're happening. I didn't feel like I did that with my children. And I regret the lost time. So I'm grateful now to have teams that create that 10K a month or more in an hour. It's an hour a week, like a phone call like this. We're together and they're just giving me updates about what's happening in the businesses. I feel blessed. Many people paid it forward to us, as you said, in your village, on those Christmases and other times when things were rough for us financially. People would do things anonymously. They didn't even want to blow their horn or shout out loud about what they were doing, but they were helping us. And I think we all get to do that now. It's amazing the power and influence of one person that's on mission like you are to do some good and create resources and opportunities for families that they didn't know that they didn't know. Like, because it changes everything. It changes the whole trajectory of what we thought we'd be able to do.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful. My granddaughter is 3, and even at her young age, I'm grateful for the people in our village and on the team that are creating resources that we didn't have when her mama was 3.
Wow.
So it's good.
Yes. And it's awesome that you were open-minded enough, because a lot of older people, not trying to put every older person in a box, but well, there are younger people too who won't try anything because of fear and all the other things. So tell us, what was this first phone call?
The first one was to help the house pay for itself. And the second one was to talk to the business team and find out, many times you can purchase businesses. Baby boomers are retiring. They've built something all their whole life, and they just want to know that that's going to continue to do good in the world. And if you can combine with our management team and have them manage all the day-to-day everything about the business and just make sure that the income keeps coming in for you, but at the same time help that person that was selling their business to feel great, because everything good that they were working on is going to continue on for generations. And so I think it's a win-win-win. Everyone, we're winning because we have the income coming in. They're winning because everything that they built, blood, sweat, and tears, is happening. And I also can still be grandma and mama and be, like you said, be more than do. I think it started with my grandpa. I was 15, and I'll just share a short little story. I was 15 on the couch with him, and I was like, Grandpa, I can't figure this out. I'm not good enough. I don't know what to do. And I think we get in our own way as parents when we're trying to figure out solutions for our children, for whatever they need, or a health concern or a financial concern. That can't is a garbage word. Grandpa just said, he said, Ann, can't is not even in my dictionary. I'm like, yes, it is. It's between B and D. It starts with the C. It's right here. And he's like, no. I mean, instead of saying I can't or I'm not good enough or I can't figure it out, I say, how can I? And those magic 3 words, I didn't figure it out for quite a while after that. But then when life kind of hit me with a few things we didn't plan on that happen for everyone, all of us are hit with stuff we didn't plan on. I was able to remember that Grandpa said can't is not even in his dictionary. Wow. And, how can I have income that comes in like that? How can I have the resources that my kids need? And it's going to cost this much dollars, so I need to increase our income this much, or I need to create this much time in my schedule so I can go and do all of the things they need and still take care of myself, like keep my own oxygen mask on, and right? Because that's also a challenge, I think, for parents. Yes. When we're figuring out solutions, we have to have that balance of time and money so that we can still take care of ourselves, so that we can take care of everyone else that we're taking care of too, right?
Yes, because so often parents think it's selfish to take care of themselves last.
Right.
To take care of themselves first. So they put themselves last. And my thing is, it's actually being selfish because your child is not getting your best self. They're not getting the best version of you because you're tired, you're haggard, you're frustrated,
overwhelmed, and all the things.
Exactly. And something else I want to say. So now you tell me, I used to tell my children, like, can't, they might as well have used like profanity in my house. I was like, don't use the word can't. Yes. However, how can I was a better substitute. I didn't give them, I just said, I can, but how can I is even better because it asks a question. And when you ask good questions, you get really good answers.
You're so right.
Wow.
Yeah. Questions are always going to give us better information.
Yes, they do. So if I could turn the clock back, Dre, Lee, how can I instead of I can?
Right. I mean, it's the little engine that could. I think I can. That's true. That's really true. But sometimes we have to ask those questions so we can find out what we don't know.
Absolutely. How can I is so much more powerful. So I will just have to teach everybody else that.
I know. Thank goodness for Grandpa, right? I'm sure he didn't know where that was going to go, but it's been a good thing. I feel like doors turn on a small hinge, and sometimes we just need one little tweak. We're just one person away from something we didn't know. We didn't know financially. We didn't know for our health or our nutrition or anything, and we're just one person away from something that will really change everything for good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is why it's important to, listen and explore and, just like you just did, click on these because I'm always doing that. I'll see something interesting on YouTube and like, oh, let's listen to that. And there were so many times I thought I've learned so much from doing that. And I hope when somebody clicks this on YouTube, they're going to be like, oh my goodness, Ann Pells, thank you so much. You've changed my life.
I hope so. And I know
Yeah.
you already are. That's so neat that they could say 1 hour with you is more than a year of everything they could figure out on their own, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was a joy for me. That's my drug. It's my high.
Right.
And when she said that, I was like, honestly, it fueled me for months. And I
So
think it
good.
continues to fuel me
Yes.
because it's like, okay, who else can I teach? Who else can I help? You
Mm-hmm.
know, because I hear it from parents. I mean, I'm not like tooting my horn or anything, but it's when you have that person who can actually sit with you and listen and figure out, okay, this is how we work this out. This is what we can do. Instead of you banging your head and trying to figure it out yourself. You
Yes.
know, you went through 15 houses before you figured this thing out, right? That's a long
Right.
time.
And I just needed a phone call, for heaven's sakes, right?
Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
where can people, who do they make this phone call to? Give us the number, give us the information. Somebody's waiting. They're like, come
Right.
on, ma'am, get to the
Yeah.
point.
Just, there is a little tab on our lifegiverlegacy.com, and we'll show you, you can put your information in there. It will show you the little video that we watched, and then you can put your information in there, and they'll call you, set up a time, and get that started. Within 30 days, you'll see a huge difference from what you thought would be long and hard to make it easier. And I really feel like sometimes we overcomplicate things.
Yes.
Like we think it has to be long and hard, and we may not, the solutions we need for our children about when we're parenting them. I don't think everything needs to be long and hard. What if it's easy? What if there's somebody that knows, like you've done, how to create in an hour of time? Yeah. I read a book called The Butterfly Effect, and I'll just share a brief story out of there. It was about George Washington Carver. He was found in a sack, and his parents had died in the war, and the Carvers rescued him, Moses and his wife, and he, as you know, grew up to do so many amazing things about peanuts and things we still use, all kinds of agricultural things to grow food for people. And the people that he taught fed billions of people because he showed them how to farm with very little water. And he probably thought he was just teaching a teenager something, like my grandpa was for me. But it affected billions of people. And I just love that Butterfly Effect book by Andy Andrews, because I totally resonate with the fact that one person can put a little piece of information that someone didn't know that creates everything for them. Yesterday, my daughter had a conversation with the caregivers that are at our church, even for her daughter, to help her, because things are very loud. There's a lot of people, a lot of things going on, and it challenges her. But the conversation in an hour, like you said, opened up all kinds of possibilities that neither my daughter or the people who are helping my granddaughter at church knew about. So I think just having that conversation and opening up the possibility, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like a whole weight comes off your shoulders when you know that you've got financial solutions, you've got educational ones, you've got things for health, mental health, physical health, all those things that are just one good question away, that, and we don't have to be alone about it, as you said. So
Yes. Oh
yeah.
my goodness. And the thing is, too, though, that 1 hour, and it's happened so many times because the family just called me recently. We're having a little check in, and her son went from over 50 instances of head banging that I checked myself. I was like, oh my gosh, like what? Because, I was there to help them and I needed to see what was happening before I could figure out how to help them.
Yeah.
And when I called her the following week, she said he had one.
See?
After we spent, just that little bit of time together. And I was like, oh my, it's not complicated. But if you don't know, you don't know what to do. It's super
And
simple.
it is complicated because you don't know. And yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you try to upend your life. Okay, how am I going to do this financial thing? How am I going to solve this problem? I need an accountant. I need this. I need that. And it's really not that challenging. The the most powerful things I find are the ones with the simplest strategies.
That's right.
We try to think like a lot of parents are like, oh no, if it's too easy, it's not going to work. The easier things work better than when you try to complicate it. Because when you try to complicate it, you get exhausted, you get frustrated because it's not working. When you just say, you know what, is it really that simple? And somebody says, or Miss Ann Pells says, yes, it is. And you make that phone call and realize, oh my goodness. Because
Yeah.
if Ann and her family could do it, we
Yeah.
could all do it. So why
Right.
not? Why be a slave to the system
I know.
and, not avail yourself of this? So giver, lifegiverlegacy.com. Go
Yes.
see
Yeah.
sweet.
There's a business team there, a real estate team, and our paying off the house team there. So I'm grateful. I don't want anyone to have to take 20 years of frustration and stress. Let's just do a couple of phone calls and imagine,
Right.
imagine it.
Exactly. Release yourself from the mortgage because more
Yes.
means dead, right? So it's like
Right.
something you're paying until you're dead.
Till the death, and you're like, great. What do I do in the meantime while I want to have my life? My friend calls it. We just give ourselves the permission slip to believe that how can I works, right? Give yourself the permission slip to just explore and be like, wow, that's a toolbox I didn't know about, or a recipe I haven't tried yet. I, I'm grateful. It's been really a fun few years for our family. And mostly I'm very grateful because I can see that my children won't need to wait 20 years to have solutions now. Because of all the time and energy that we've spent trying to figure it out, they can fast forward that time. And they are, I think, the generations after us, if you don't mind my saying, honestly, I think they are smarter and faster at so many things
Oh, yes.
that it weren't available to us or that we didn't know about. But because they can watch what we're doing and follow along and find people and solutions. Um, Larry, my husband, his dad had attention deficit and some other things going on in his life. And a couple generations ago, we didn't know what that was. We just, there.
Yes.
And so I'm grateful
Yeah.
for all of the amazing things that are happening because people ask questions and find out. That's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Miss Ann. It's been a joy chatting with you. And people, go to the website, call
Yeah.
her up, make those phone calls, 2 phone calls, and free yourself. Alrighty. And I will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.